Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Frank Bosi. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Hostfully, along with my colleague Federico, who is our Manager of Business Development. And today we're graciously joined by the wonderful Kathryn Cervantes. She's the Connectivity Partner and the Business Manager over at Booking.com. All right, cool. So just before we're here at Hostfully, we're excited to be a preferred partner of Booking.com. Personally, during my meetings and my demos, we've had a lot of interest and questions for our customers and actually non-customers in our property management space. We're really excited to share and present some of our learnings for summer 22 travel that we've gotten from Booking.com in our partnership, and help you really understand how you can improve your summer bookings, enhance the summer experience, and capture more guests traveling this summer. So before we jump into our discussion with Booking.com, just wanted to let you know a little bit more about Hostfully for those who are not familiar. We're a vacation rental property management software. We help you run your business from tip to tail. We essentially strive to help vacation rental companies and property managers make more money, increase revenue, streamline and automate day-to-day operations, and just improve the overall traveler experience. Now, Hostfully has two products, and these are both completely standalone products. You have the property management platform and the digital guidebook. Both of them are fully integrated, so you're of course more than welcome to use both of them together, but you also have the option to use just the property management software or just the digital guidebook. On the property management platform side, right here, apologies, we have direct integrations with major OTAs, Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and a bunch of other channels. And really, we work as a channel manager for those OTAs. So Hostfully will be your central software and hub in managing all of these reservations. We have great pipeline feature, which is really cool and unique to the industry as well. And here is where you're going to see all of your guests and exactly where they are in the process of their booking, and basically manage your operations in different ways, other than the other softwares that are out there. We also have a really nice out-of-the-box direct booking website available to all of our users, and also included in our software's automated messages, both email and text messaging, reports, analytics, payment processor, and now we have our wonderful new unified inbox as a whole, with a lot more to help you run your vacation rental business. And then there is the standalone digital guidebook platform. And this is a really very unique and beautiful platform where we focus on enhancing the guest experience. We make it easy to share important information to your guest about their trip. Check-in details, directions, house manual information, all of your favorite recommendations. And again, this really aims in boosting your guest experience, but it also cuts down on communications, and it is also has the ability to get you more 5-star ratings. You also have a great upselling feature called the Marketplace to increase your overall income. And right over here, we are also winning awards. Really super excited. It's been great. We won Matt Landau's VRMB Keystone Awards. Apologies, I don't see the slide here. We can do that one. So as the best vacation rental software. And then they really just recently released the Keystone winners for 2021, and we won again, making us back-to-back winners. And one of the main evaluators, Terry White, said, Hostfully is one of the best softwares, period, I have ever seen. We did also just win, and apologies, it seems to have gotten cut off, the Shorties 2022 award as the best property management software, which we're really excited about. And then the same thing on the guidebook slide. Erica here is a client of ours, and she basically said the same. She has the same view as many of our other clients, where she stated that the guidebook totally blew her away. We saved her a ton of time, and also the guidebook is more professional than the Word document or PDF that y'all are using. So if you haven't tested out our guidebooks yet, we have free trials of all subscriptions and also one free guidebook for everyone who wants to just kind of kick the tires and test it out. We also are a preferred partner with Airbnb, Booking.com, and Vrbo. And then with the reports and the webinars, not only do we have an incredible platform and a beautiful guidebook, but we also have great reports and webinars. We have a variety of reports available on our website, which I encourage you all to go check out at your leisure. It's hostfully.com/2021 report, and it has a good selection of reports, future booking reports, multi-channel distribution reports, other reports that have a great insight can be useful to your business. So again, I really just encourage you to check those out directly on our website. We have a ton to offer you there, along with blog posts and articles. And if you do want any additional information on any of our products, please feel free to reach out to me directly or to Fede or to anyone on our team. We're always happy to coordinate and schedule a one-on-one demo with you. But that's really enough about Hostfully. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Kathryn with Booking.com. So Kathryn, we're really excited to be a preferred partner with Booking.com and to share some of the learnings that we've gotten from Booking.com in our partnership during today's webinar. So feel free to take it from here, Kathryn.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the great introduction, Frank, and for so much more, a great reminder as to all the things Hostfully has to offer. As Frank mentioned, I've been working with Hostfully. I'm on the connectivity team at Booking.com, so I've been working with Hostfully in a variety of ways, all kinds of different teams, and I'm really, really proud of everything we've been able to achieve together. So yeah, Hostfully is definitely one of our top partnerships, premier partner, has a really high quality integration, super smooth onboarding process, as well as real-time connectivity that goes through all kinds of things beyond like rates, availability, the kind of core essentials there, as well as content, photos. There's some new integrations that now show the Booking.com like content score and page score on the Hostfully side, as well as ability to create mobile rates. And there's even more coming down the line. So just really constantly working together to see how we can have that best partnership and have the best experience for our mutual clients. So yeah, shameless plug if you are not yet listening to Booking.com, I highly recommend syncing through Hostfully. It's super easy. There is, again, it's an automated process. You can do it right there through the Hostfully channel. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more today about those benefits as well as what's going on this summer. So just a quick overview of Booking.com if you're not already familiar. We've been around since the late 90s, offering great customer experience and really a global reach. So something that I think is great to highlight, especially for the short-term rental segment or for the vacation rental segment, is that Booking's been reaching these kinds of guests, especially in Europe and kind of globally for a long time, all on the same site. We've seen a big change or big benefit recently from guests who typically book hotels are also booking more the home segment, as we'll call it. So accessing maybe types of guests who would do different types of stays out there in their customer journey on the front end. So big reach potential, as well as just, really have a smooth process here for great app, great desktop. We do a ton of testing to really make that kind of a easy booking process and really great to highlight your content. All kinds of things that have been proven time and time again on our site. Also have more and more customizations coming specific to vacation rentals. So we have the ability to set house rules, key collection specifics, which we know is super important for guests to feel set up for how to access the properties and have that kind of confidence going in to arrival. And you can talk specifically about yourself and the host profile. And that's content that is, that's the one part of actually the page that's not translated. So you can be as kind of descriptive and creative as possible in that section. The rest of the page is translated to reach those international guests. Host profile, I do believe a little teaser might be able to sync that through Hostfully coming soon. It's something that we're working on together as well. So if you have that already, that can be synced down the line. Let's see, what else? Guest requirements, damage deposits, some of these core essentials that are super important. I also wanted to mention a really big, exciting update, specifically for the US region, is that as of just this week, a payment facilitation, basically payments being facilitated by Booking.com just launched this week for the home segment for multi-property managers in the US. So this is really exciting. It hadn't been offered before for groups, only for individual properties that couldn't process credit cards on their own. So this is a much wider solution. And in this case, Booking would take payment entirely and then send it to the property managers through a bank transfer. We have been piloting this since January, and there's been some great results already. I think the groups in the pilot experienced like a decrease in cancellations by 15%, and they also saw an 83% decrease of no-shows. So really big kind of boost on just like making sure that those guests who are booking confidently are then able to come and stay. So we'll talk about that again later, but more insights there, if you're interested in signing up, are available in the Group Connect site. And again, really exciting release this week. Excited to have this to talk about today with everybody here.
Yeah, go Fede.
Yeah.
Go for a minute.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so this is awesome news. I've been doing lots of calls in the past few months, years, and we got lots of people asking about when we will be able to have Booking or the channels to be the merchant of record. So this is great. This is live right now, or do you plan to make it live soon? Is it just for the US? Any other countries will have this tool available?
So this one particular that I mentioned is new to the US. So this is live as of this week, as of, I want to say Tuesday, the 7th is when it went live for the US. So that's new. The payment types can vary by country, so it's a bit unique to the destinations. However, the US, to be honest, was a bit kind of late to the game in getting our process rolled out. So it's been available in most other countries, and we're really glad to have it live now in the US. I think Canada also has it live. So I'm assuming that's where most of today's attendees are from, just because of the time zones. But I would say for sure there could be slight variances on the exact setup and facilitation. But for sure that specific information would be in either the extranet or the partner portal, the Group Connect portal for individual property managers. Or if you're not yet synced with Booking, and that's something we can kind of answer what it's like in your region before signing up, for sure, feel free to reach out to us or the Hostfully team and get that addressed.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. No, it's great. It's a big one. So hopefully hopefully this is a helpful change.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're excited. We're very excited for it. But now really kind of just chatting about the theme or the topic for today's call, summer travel, right? So what, Kat, what are the top destinations for 2022 that you've been seeing?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So for sure, the beach destinations, as well as this natural outdoors, such as mountains, even for the summer, or anything outdoors, nature escapes, we like to call it, are really popular. However, there's a recent survey that Booking.com put out to travelers also revealed a big uptick in urban destinations. And I think that's really interesting to see. I mean, we believe there's a few reasons there. One is just overall consumer confidence, changes in travel, as well as I think truly just a shift in what's available and what the prices are as far as people willingness to drive different areas. So I can share some interesting growth as far as in major metro markets. Year over year, we see New York City itself is up over 50% compared to last year. This is for July and August, specifically to the home segment, to the vacation rental segment. Chicago's up 70%. That's my hometown, so I'm a little bit biased. It's a great place to go in the summer. Everybody should check it out. And Los Angeles as well, it was up 109% compared to last year. Los Angeles, we know the beaches always do really well, but the city itself typically lags behind as far as like the summer destination. So it's great to see.
How much was LA again, Kat? I'm sorry.
It's almost 110% growth year over year for July and August.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty much back to like 2019 pre-COVID levels that we're getting to, which is great to see.
I was going to say that this is pre-COVID numbers. This is awesome to learn.
Yeah, we love seeing that growth and seeing it spread out. I think the cities that rounded out are Houston, Fort Lauderdale, and Denver. I think also showed significant growth. So for sure, all three coasts are staying really strong along the beach destinations, and then also kind of its overall volumes are upticking. Cool. So I think that's kind of a nice segue into what we're seeing for the 2022 summer season. Like I said, the traveler intent and the confidence is there. We're seeing a big intent and desire to travel for all kinds of reasons. Just that kind of pent-up demand is still for sure staying very, very strong. Conditions remain unpredictable. And there's for sure a lot of uncertainty still out there. We know we're feeling that is in the hospitality industry as well as we're seeing that from as individuals and as the guests are experiencing. The partners, conditions are still showing that it's going to be the highest demand summer season ahead so far. And we've been hearing from partners that they'd like to hear a bit more about how they can prepare and what to expect for the season. So we wanted to share some content here around how to really focus on capturing early demand as well as demand changes in the kind of booking window, tapping into the different types of travelers and their preferences, making flexibility work for you. So for sure, again, policies and cancellation shifts has been probably permanently changed since COVID. That's always great to focus on. And then finally, we're going to talk about how we can invest in summer together and really try to leverage the partnerships that we have out here in this industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. That actually brings us directly into the next question, which was what are the top 3 things to know for summer 22? What can a property manager or an owner do on their end to really maximize their production for summer 22?
Yeah, I think I'd probably just reiterate some of what we were just talking about. I think capturing those, really making those demand trends and those booking windows work for you. Again, we know that there's a lot of challenges the property managers are facing, especially labor shortages, and really being able to kind of capture advanced business, plan for that. So that's what I would say is number one, is making making sure those demand windows are working for you, so you can plan in advance, as well as tapping into the different types of traveler preferences and really tailoring, making sure every facility is checked off for those traveler types, and then I think being as flexible as possible or really making that work for you. So demand, travel preferences, and flexibility, I think, are my 3.
Awesome.
Oops, one more. Okay. So yeah, as far as it goes, talking about early demand, search volumes are up significantly since last year now for July and August. For the summer season, we're getting into that really peak period. So again, up-to-date availability, that will all come through to Booking.com and all your channels through Hostfully. So I'm just making sure that any kind of dates that are open are marked off there to capture those bookers. I've seen a really interesting change in consumer behavior throughout COVID, where guests are typically booking either pretty far in advance. So that could be as long as 65 days is the average we've seen for the home segment, or really last minute. So planning in advance or on a whim, a weekend trip, more last minute. So again, we're kind of in that 60-day range right now for at least for August. You can still very easily tap into those travelers. That book window is unique, kind of more unique to the home segment, to the vacation rental segment, much longer than non-home, mostly for hotels. So I think that's pretty interesting takeaway to know, is that these guests are booking further in advance, and they're willing to, we'll see some more positive trends, really making sure to tap into that booking period. We've also seen summer bookings just as an overall uptick. So for sure, just making sure to have that availability and focusing on these guests is a great tip.
Yeah, I think that also that having a platform, for example, like Hostfully, that keeps your calendars up to date instantly with API integration is key for this. To avoid double bookings, to avoid any trouble with this guest who book in advance. Because if you book 65 days in advance, you don't want to have any troubles with the property.
Exactly, 100%. I think that's honestly, that's probably the most core of the functionalities that we offer through the integration, but I think that's one of the best too. It's so important. Great. So as far as traveler preferences, we're going to talk about 4 key segments that we've seen of traveler types and how to highlight really just what is unique from what they're looking for. So I think what's really exciting to see is that international travel is making a big comeback. Over 61% of searches for this summer on our site are for international. So guests looking from one country to another country has a huge uptick. I know I saw a funny meme earlier this week, my husband showed me actually, where it said that June is the month for wondering how all your friends afforded those trips to Europe or these vacations. I know I've been seeing it on my personal social media as well as outside of just the booking trends from coming in from work. So it's so true. I feel like we're seeing it on both sides, and it's really fun to see, and it's really exciting also as well to have that additional international demand coming into the U.S. Family travel. So yeah, it's still a good chunk. Over a quarter of searches right now are by families. Families also tend to stay longer and spend more because of that longer length of stay. So that's a great segment to tap into. Group, couples, and
I actually, sorry to cut you off. I actually did some research and reading on the summer trends, and family is increasing because of people that haven't been able to see some of their family members because of COVID over the past 2 years. That's really assisted with the spike of family travel, as people are ready to just go see their families, catch up, and all that. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
So true. It's so true. And I think that's, yeah, definitely wanting to see families, which to be honest is also a portion of why probably the city destinations are growing throughout this year, is that people are going to visit their families in those more urban destinations rather than going to be just together. They're going to see each other as well, which really also goes into the next one as far as groups, couples, and solo travelers. What we're seeing guest confidence increasing, so their bubbles are growing from what they've had over the last couple of years. And maybe that means instead of just traveling as a couple, you're now traveling with a group of friends, like 8, 12 people possibly, which is, as we know, perfect for the vacation rental segment to be able to have rooms together or units together where you can be really comfortable and have that time as a group. Couples and solo travelers also stay strong as a final segment in that piece. And then lastly, length of stay. Right now, 3 to 7 days are making up the majority of the summer period, which is pretty healthy. Like long weekends, or it could be a full week. It's a decent chunk of length of stay, I could say, for over the summer.
And so you did cover this. Will most travel be international or domestic? Now we know everyone's traveling and excited just to get out there and travel. I want to say domestic, but do you have like some stats on whether international is kind of spearheading the trend for 22, or is it still kind of keeping with domestic with all the restrictions and stuff with travel and what's going on with all that fun stuff?
Yeah, we actually still are seeing the majority of the volume being domestic, especially focusing on, to the North America, just because of the sheer volume of the size of the US. We still see that that's going to be the strongest group traveling within the US this season. However, there is a huge rise in international, as we're seeing just in those trends. It also may depend a bit more specific to the markets, like within the US or within any destination. I keep saying US because we're here, so and again the time zones, but we'll talk mostly about that today. For sure, we see a huge international uptick. I think Florida's been pretty strong throughout with LATAM travelers, as well as again all the coasts or like wherever the flights. Usually, the flight patterns can help direct that a bit. But I'd say the majority will still be domestic, at least for this year. Speaking of international travel, so a huge proportion, I think, growing on our site. It's really interesting too. So, like last year, it was still virtually non-existent. So to even have over half of searches now being from international guests or guests who are seeking to travel internationally is a really, really strong indicator of travel's return and consumer confidence. So again, I think it's exciting to see, and that's a strength of Bookings.com's, I would say, has been bringing those international guests and exploring new property types. Guests who are more familiar with us from Europe are coming to the US. So I'd say it's a big benefit as well. And I'm really excited to see that uptick. For the US, again, there's a great increase just now this year compared to last, with Canada being more open. Again, Europeans coming in, LATAM stayed pretty strong to kind of the southern region, but that's spreading out as well. So overall, it's really positive, I would say. It's also interesting to watch that shift in trends. I know recently I saw an AirDNA article where the U.S. Virgin Islands saw a decline just because last year Americans were traveling there more frequently or over COVID, let's say, and then this year now they're seeking to go abroad. So big shift potentially as far as like where some of the COVID strong destinations had been. So interesting to kind of watch for that and then tailor to those international guests. Something that is unique to Booking as well, we offer country-specific offers or even state-specific within the U.S. If there are certain, like a state or two over that you're looking to target, that can be worth exploring if there's any kind of just like targeting markets you'd like to target. And then onto the family travel. So again, recorded all searches are by families. I'd say the most important thing here is just tailoring your content, facilities, photos. I think everyone loves photos, families especially. I think really want to know what the beds are like by description and by photo, or what the bathrooms are like if you want and kids in between. I think the top filters that we see for families that are searching are if there's a swimming pool, if pets are allowed. So I guess the whole family, including the pets, are going on the trip. So if pets are allowed, and then if there's any kinds of maybe restrictions around types of pet that are there, that's super important as well. I think I mentioned already bathroom, bed types, kitchen, as well as any equipment that's in there. So that's, I think, always really important to highlight that content specific for these families. And it could also be even a bit simpler than that as far as children policies or child rates. It's interesting with homes or vacation homes and rentals, typically we don't see as many child policies, let's say, as whereas hotels might charge extra or charge differently for those prices. It's less common with entire homes. Usually it's just this is the price for the home, and then number of guests fill it. We've seen that changing a bit. It is an opportunity, I would say, to look at maybe tailoring so that based on the occupancy, it can be also helping with overall uplift and overall revenue volumes. Interesting to see. But beyond that type of pricing, just make sure to double check that there's policies, at least on Booking, where it's as simple as are children allowed, yes or no. So just like making sure that says yes, even if you think it's implied, like everybody's welcome. It might be something that a family, anybody who's booking catches or might see that, and just having that extra assurance, saying yes, children are allowed, everybody's welcome, is great to have in place.
Yeah, it's nice to see 31% of searches are by families. Since that we were running out of reasons to complain about our family, so we started getting together again. So we have something to speak about on Friday with friends.
It's so true. And all kinds of family travel too, extended family, close family, you got to see them all. And then going on to the groups, couples, and solo travelers. So it's interesting, again, tailoring the content and highlighting that content is just as important here. It's important for all travelers. And there's some overlap as well, right? So groups are looking to see the same top filters. So swimming pool is up there. I think hot tub jumps in for this one. Again, number of bathrooms and then overall bed setup. So especially with groups, I think it's really important to see what is I think personally for me, it's all bathroom layout. I know I just went on a trip to Sonoma with a group of friends. There were 8 of us, and I was really curious to see are there private bathrooms? Are we going to be sharing with any of our friends? What's that layout? So I think having that super descriptive and super clear, again, in photos as well as in the facilities is great. Photography here too, judging spaciousness, seeing if that common area is going to be comfortable to hang out in. And again, obviously great news here. Everything that's set up in Hostfully will come through to Booking. So as long as your settings in Hostfully are up to date and descriptive as possible, that's perfect. Similar here, pricing per guest is another opportunity, another potential tip if they're looking to kind of try something new based on the overall occupancies. So similar to setting up per child price, but here it would just be based on the overall volume of guests. If it's a solo traveler, is there potentially even a one-person price to capture that guest who's looking out there for themselves versus a couple, and then again a group. If you have a full house, you definitely want to be making sure that you're covered as well, that they're comfortably.
Yeah, and you also bring up a good point, because with the longer length of stay, I always oversaw corporate travel in my previous life. And it was always this word like leisure or bizcation or something. So do you find that travelers are now, by staying longer, they're fusing work and leisure together?
Yeah, 100%. I think we're absolutely seeing that. I think the leisure is our favorite word to use for this. There's a big overlap in the two. So we're seeing, again, families, and now it's summer, so maybe this is more common, but even in the, let's say, more traditional off season, that families are, let's say, tagging along, or if their families are working remote, they can take those trips together and do that kind of if, let's say, one person in the family has a business trip, bring the whole family along, come stay through or stay the weekend, and makes that definitely adding on days to business trips is what we're seeing as a shift in trends. There's also, of course, have to acknowledge there's still a big uptick in just remote workers, and there are some companies that are announcing more permanent remote work. I know at Booking, our hybrid model, and we have up to an allotted amount of time. You're encouraged to travel international. You can spend 4 weeks anywhere in the world working remotely as well. I know one of our competitors made a big announcement about staying remote long term. So there's for sure guests who are looking to travel for themselves, for, let's say, if they're either for a business trip or just to work from these destinations, definitely overlapping the two and kind of picking destinations based on where they'll be comfortable to spend a week, a couple of weeks, and work from there for fun and for work. Yeah, definitely leveraging, I think, business trips for personal time, I would say, is a big trend.
Yeah.
Which also kind of goes in nicely to talking about length of stay. So that's, again, something that might have shifted overall. We know that the vacation rental segment has usually pretty healthy length of stay, the longest compared to, let's say, again, hotels or other type segments that we work with. So I think what we've seen on average recently is just over 3 nights, which is up 9% year over year and almost 60% higher than, let's say, hotels or hotels. It's also been pretty stable. So during peak COVID 2020, 2021, it was just under 3 nights, but we've seen the majority stay S3 as the average. And again, for the summer, a bit longer, up to 7 nights is the majority of searches here. So tailoring content again, pricing, all those things are super important for guests who are looking to stay longer. Also really exciting, and I'm not sure if this is widely known, although I try to always promote it, is that Booking.com now allows stays for more than 30 nights. We know this is not necessarily super new to the vacation rental segment, but it's exciting for us to have that extended period. So guests can now stay up to 45 nights as of March of this year, and we're actually looking to roll out up to 90 nights within the next couple of months. It's already testing in certain areas. So definitely again, if you have this set up through Hostfully, if you have weekly offers, monthly offers, or even just making sure that availability is loaded, that will also come through to booking. So I would just check those policies are set up, or just really just check that you have those kind of monthly and weekly offers out there, or even just the availability, right? If it doesn't necessarily have to be any kind of change or discount, but just making sure that that's out there for the guests to capture.
That's great. I believe that some destinations even offer some tax benefits if you stay for more than 30 days. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, that is. I actually found that out personally when I was traveling, and I probably should have known it for work, to be honest. But I was last I think winter, I did a bit of road tripping, working remote myself, and I discovered that that change in taxes, and started staying like 35 nights instead of 30 when I was picking locations. So, I mean, that's a good one. If that's like an incentive, and then you get a longer night stay, I mean, it works out, right? So it's good to kind of tap into. So as far as flexibility goes, I mean, now we've gone through the kind of traveler types, this one affects all of those. So it's good to kind of keep this in mind throughout overall demand. So the majority of bookings for the summer, guests are still looking for that flexibility. Even though there's confidence in travel, there's still, we've seen this as a pretty strong, consistent change in just, things change. And that's something we've all learned the hard way over the last couple of years. So for sure, like just having extra flexibility is, if you can, is great. However, there has been, again, an increase in non-refundable bookings. They're regaining popularity. So that's an interesting trend to watch. Booking.com offers a setting where you can allow a one-time date change for these travelers. So it's like an opt-in feature. If that's something you would like to allow, then those guests can change one time automatically based on availability. So that means that if, instead of guests reaching out, either requesting to cancel, requesting a refund, which again, that's the policy, so that's up to the kind of conversation. It's a way to really just add a little bit of flexibility while still keeping that overall reservation. It just will be a shift potentially in the dates that they're there. So you're still able to kind of control or have that non-refundable kind of secured booking with a little bit of flexibility built into it. So I think it's actually super interesting. This is a newer feature that's coming out for the summer, and we're hoping will help with overall just like volume of inbound and guest requests and making it a fluid process. There's also some potential through there to limit, like add blackout dates. You can turn it off or on anytime, limiting. I think you can also select like how many days in advance the guest can request it. So like 3 to 7. There's a couple other restrictions available there to really, again, make those policies work for you.
Kat, this new flexibility is just for non-refundable rates, right?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, anything like semi-flexible or in between would not apply. And what's interesting about it too is, again, because you have that initial booking, so it only applies to current availability that's like at least meets that initial booking, I believe, that price. So if guests, maybe if they shorten the stay, it would have to be at equal or greater value than the original booking. It's really
nice. Yeah, because Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say you're just really kind of keeping what was captured in that initial booking.
Yeah, because we've all seen, I think, like the guests that have a cancellation policy, and they want to change the date for the future so they can cancel without penalty. So it's good to know that it's only for those rates that don't allow cancellations.
Yeah, and even just having that, even the one time is great, right? Because typically guests don't change their reservations that much. But also just automating it. Like I know our customer service gets a lot of requests, even if it's non-refundable is clearly stated, we'll still get requests from the guests. So this is allowing kind of within a certain realm, within what we've seen from the trends of this will really kind of just already help alleviating some of that inbound and some of those changes in facilitating that. So anything that frees up a little bit of the kind of time on the phone and time managing all of the things that are coming in might help as well as satisfy the guests and keep them coming back.
Nice.
Great. Yeah, and the next question is kind of a double whammy or twofold, but we already chatted briefly about what the top reasons are for travel this summer. So that was one of the questions. And then also any tips on marketing to these potential guests that you would recommend, or maybe in your findings.
Yeah. So we definitely talked about it. I'd say the number one is visiting family and friends, especially again, domestically in the US, still seeing a big increase there, as well as definitely making up for lost time. There's still a lot of pent up demand for those like far-flung vacations that were once put on hold, any kind of bucket list things, either replacing a trip that you weren't able to take in the past or guests weren't able to take in the past, or a new one that they dreamed about during COVID while at home, thinking about all the places you'd like to go. I'd say definitely bigger or even just more trips are really kind of coming up. Other reasons, stress relief. That's kind of a classic with travel, right? That's a reason to get out of the day-to-day or just mix it up. Even just things like we see actually a big uptick, which is really interesting, is in the foodie travel. So people are going just to try certain kinds of food, whether it be like the local specialty or actual one restaurant or chef on its own. Definitely food is always a good reason to travel. As far as marketing to these potential guests, I've said it a few times, but I'll keep plugging it. I think just for sure highlighting all the amazing facilities and adding great photos. We know that there's such a range of property types. There's a lot of unique features, or even just comfort levels that are available for the guests. So continuing to promote to that is, I'd say, the most important thing. Yeah, and also it's shamelessly plugging in Booking.com again. I know that Booking does a lot of marketing, which I've actually talked about a little bit later, but if we can help reach new guests and show them these great things the properties have to offer, that's, I'd say, something definitely to leverage.
And then just a reminder to everyone who's attending, if you have any questions, feel free on sending out. I know we came up with some pretty awesome questions, so we kind of took some out of the pile, but if you all have questions, please do not hesitate to ask those. We'll get to them towards the end of today's webinar. Go ahead, Kat. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so on the marketing efforts, Booking.com has been investing a ton in marketing, especially home and the vacation rental segment. And so we've renewed our famous Booking.yeah campaign, our very, I think, well-known, or love it or hate it, kind of a very famous catchphrase earlier this year during the Super Bowl that released. So we've had over 112 million views on that, a big uptick as well in mobile marketing, where the majority of our business actually is coming in these days. So we're really trying to deliver extra exposure to all kinds of guests. What was really cool to see this year specifically for the Booking.yeah was that Idris Elba was featured in these campaigns, and specifically was featured in alternative accommodation types. So he was in a cabin, right, with a family there, very much in different homes and apartments and things that are specific to the home segment. So that's very intentional from Booking.com to really be in travelers' minds as a destination, as a platform to book for this segment. So yeah, we're going to continue investing in this beyond just the traditional marketing campaigns. There's also now features on the front end as far as how suggesting locations, suggesting different home types for sure, and the filters. Actually, it's really pretty cool to see that property type is one of the top filters guests are utilizing. and then they're selecting homes, and then from there they'll add like swimming pool or whatever else it might be. But definitely a bit of targeting is all we can do.
All right, and how is Booking.com investing in STR partnerships?
Yeah, so definitely in those marketing campaigns that I just mentioned, we're looking to grow that more and more. For sure, this new payment specific for the home segment, I would say, is a huge one that just launched this week. So that's something that we've been hearing that feedback from partners. We've been hearing it from property managers specifically. We've been hearing from great partners like Hostfully, and also something that internally we've been really trying to work on. So I think tailoring our platform to make it work for specific short-term rentals is a big way. There's also certain commission discounts in certain areas. And then I'm going to talk about in the next slides about tapping into some of our loyalty programs and really just trying to be creative with the overall offers that we have out there to make that easy to work with, to make us easy to work with at least.
I can recall you mentioned this, Kat, that you have a question asking about the payment. How does it work? Does it like, do property managers get paid after checkout, after checking, when the booking is made? How does it work?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For the one that just launched this week for the multi-properties managers in the US, Booking takes all of the payment, and then that will be sent to the property managers through bank transfer through Stripe. So Stripe is our partner on this. I believe it's every 2 weeks. It might be even faster after Booking. Sorry, I'm not still getting familiar with all the great details of this one, but it will be sent periodically, if not immediately during the stay or after the stay, on a regular schedule via bank transfer. So for sure, it's bank transfer via Stripe from Booking, and then the exact timing of that, I believe you actually even have the opportunity to choose. The property managers, I think, can set up that cadence. So some flexibility there, which is great, right? Because that's guaranteed payouts. Booking.com's taking on a lot of responsibility there. It eliminates the potential for fraud and chargebacks. That's something that now Booking will deal with the guests, and also with our fraud and security teams. We'll take all of that, all responsibility. So that I see as one of the greatest benefits of this, is that let us kind of manage that and deal with those pain points, and then we'll just send all that money for those guests your way.
And now, I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed this, but will the property manager have the option to do booking through you, or if they want to remain merchant on record, are they able to stay that way?
Yeah, they have the option. So this is definitely an opt-in opportunity. It's not mandatory at all. So totally up to the property managers and if they'd like to use it or not. It is, I will just say that it's one or the other. I think I originally mentioned, there's other, because we have some other payment types in different parts of the country and for different property types where it's a hybrid model, right? So either property managers will receive guest credit card or a virtual credit card from Booking. In this case, it's entirely it's Booking.com will manage payments entirely. So that's up to the property manager to decide if you like to be the merchant or not. But then once that's decided, it's the entirety of the reservations. We could always, I think, opt in or out. So there is that option if you wanted to turn it on, let's say for the summer, for this next couple of months, and then kind of go back in September. I mean, it's worth a try. I'd say it's good to explore those options.
Awesome.
Yeah, here William was asking about the payments too. So I'm happy to include further information about the program with them with the email we'll send right after the webinar.
Cool. Yeah, and we do have there's some help articles in our partner hub. There's also, so the most up-to-date information is just in the Group Connect. So the properties portal and the extranet. But again, if you're not yet signed up with Booking, we can share that through either the partner help center or just through any open request.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, so I think the last benefit that I want to talk about and kind of going on ways we're investing is there's a Genius commission discount that's out live now for certain areas to overall, this is really to help properties lower costs this summer while growing business. So it's an introductory offer for trying out Genius. Genius is, again, the loyalty program, which I'll go through a bit on the next slide, but this is an offer that's available to opt in through the end of June. And then you'll receive a 20% commission discount on all stayed reservations of these Genius guests through the end of September. So for any reservations that are complete through that time period, you'll receive a discount on the commission. And we'll be issuing credit notes just as far as the logistics of how to pay that out. So again, there's an opportunity here to opt in. There are certain qualifications. So obviously check the eligibility. To be eligible for Genius in the first place, there's a few criteria. And this, I believe, also in select locations, but it's a really great offer that I'm excited to see Booking trying new things and really being creative and to reach different guests and different offers for the properties as well. So I'd say check the extranet or the Group Connect to see if you're eligible and sign up by the end of June. Just a bit about Genius as well. These are more with loyal users. To use that kind of phrase, they book more frequently with Booking.com. They tend to spend a bit more and have a bit more reliable trends. So cancel less frequently, but further in advance. There's also additional tagging that comes in from having the Genius logo on the front end. There's also some search filters. So Genius users typically will then filter by properties who also have the Genius, are participating in Genius. So a lot of really great benefits here for driving incremental revenue. Okay, and the reviews. I always think that's a good one. I know personally I love looking at reviews when I travel. I think it's a really great way to kind of just check what there is to expect. And these, if you're trying to build that on our site or any site, these are the kinds of users who are more likely to do that.
And so what are some of post-pandemic STR impacts for this summer? I know both positive and negative.
Yeah, I mean, there's some very real permanent shifts, it seems in guest trends. And I think we'll see that for a long time. And that's, again, the lengths of stay, the traveling for remote work or hybrid workers. For sure, there's, we know there's a lot of challenges as far as labor shortages go, economic uncertainty. I think you can't really look over the fact that it's very expensive to travel right now too, for gas, for domestic, even for flights. We know that's higher than ever. So there is definitely a lot of uncertainty and a lot of potential friction points. I think what's exciting is that even with that out there, there's still a lot of positive momentum, especially for short-term rentals. We're seeing new travelers who had typically booked hotels and maybe started either booking the short-term rental property types during COVID because that made the most sense, or they're able to kind of travel and be alone or be isolating at that point, are really maintaining that. Now those users have been exposed who weren't users in the past, and they're going to continue booking these property types. So really a huge reach and new clientele and new types of guests. And we're seeing the guests are more willing to go back and forth and try different types of stays. So I'd say more interest from the greater population. So that's really exciting. And then last thing, I think overall metrics have changed. So definitely we've seen a rise in rates. We've seen longer stays. Traditional weekday and weekend trends have morphed. Again, that could be a combination of weekend to midweek or even just during the week to book and working remote. I mentioned rates a little bit. For sure, we saw an increase there. For year to date, I think the average is around $200, which is up 20% year over year. And again, that's higher than we see for core hotels as well as any chains. So I think those home and the vacation rentals has a pretty stable rate ADR. I'd say those average daily rate. During COVID, even last year was around 170, so up to 200, and potentially probably even more this summer is a pretty solid there. And again, the guests are still traveling, so it's interesting to see. So yeah, I think the overall takeaway here is that these guests are booking further in advance, they're staying longer, and they're willing to pay more. So definitely a big market to reach, I'd say, from this post-pandemic summer.
Wonderful. That was actually another one. It was what are your top 3 takeaways? But you already have that there. So that's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, just reiterating, I think what we talked about, right? I think, again, I'll just count on this because content is so important. So facilities, photos, I think those are really the essential things that are great to highlight your amazing properties and capture that early demand, capture those different traveler types. really just being set up for like setting guest expectations is so important and a great opportunity to do, especially in the summer when, travelers are already probably overwhelmed and just have a lot of decisions, and, it's a wild time in the world. So anything that can make that as easy as possible is great to do in advance. Again, making flexibility work for you. So policies, they're so unique to the already what's on the books, like the location. There's so many different things that go into setting policy types. If you can utilize like a little bit of flexibility and then non-refundables while still guaranteeing that reservation, I highly recommend looking into that. And then finally, the last one is, I'd say tap into leverage partnerships. Again, shamelessly, I think we're really doing a lot to try to have the best partnerships that we can as this is booking. And I know as a whole hospitality industry, definitely believe there's a rising tides lifts all boats for having a good offers out there for our guests and for our partners. So I'd say take advantage of some of the offers that we have, as well as just seeing what's available for investing in the summer trends.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Kat. So we did have some questions, kind of more clarifying questions come through. So we have one of our users actually for Booking.com. I know, so Hostfully, we have something called Hostfully Help. It's just a bunch of help articles, just to really kind of step-by-step description, kind of walk through on how to set up Booking.com and listing and the connectivity and all that fun jazz. So for Booking.com, do you have any places that your users can go to kind of just mainly, specifically in general, but in this one, it's to best complete the listings in the platform after the Hostfully integration. So we shared like our help articles, but if you have a kind of a go-to that you would recommend?
Yeah, I do, and I could actually probably drop it in, maybe drop it in the chat too. But I'm very familiar actually with the Hostfully help articles. I think Hostfully does an amazing job with very, very detailed help articles, even the videos. For me, I find that screen recording so helpful for walking through. Personally, I think those are really great. I actually believe a couple of them might link back to booking help articles from some of the ones I've worked on the team, but there is a core just partner help hub, or partnerships hub, I should call it. And it's just partner.booking.com. So there's tons of help articles there. There's also, I think you can sign in and send messages. There's a blog, a lot there, but those help articles, that's the best place to go for the most up-to-date help articles.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, if you could send that to us, and maybe Federico will send you like the follow-up email or something. That'll be awesome. Okay. And then, so will hosts still have to wait until guests have left after staying 45 days before receiving their payout? Specifically, in this case, hosts would be financing the guest stay, paying the utility consumption.
Ooh, interesting question. I'm not sure if I know the exact answer, but I'll try. To be honest, I think that might depend, but I believe that might be something. I don't want to give the wrong answer, but I believe there might be an option to. The payout might be based on check-in dates. So if you were getting biweekly bank transfers from Booking, potentially you could get that during the stay. I would think, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say look into that on the group connect, and that's definitely a great question before signing up if that's something that's really important. I would say if for whatever reason we're not able to pay out until the guest checks out, I mean, for sure, you have the guaranteed revenue, at least, that guaranteed the funds that will come through Booking. So if there's any way, if that's still a benefit to have, knowing that's secure, if there is any wiggle room there to, still take those guests and do that with the payout. But I would just recommend verifying that for your area on the Group Connect or in the extranet or through us at Hostfully, just to make sure that we're paying you out as needed.
Great.
Yeah, I see another question here that it's kind of so it's what's the average trend of Booking.com users communicating via the platform versus platform inbox versus email? Is there a trend, like people usually send more emails but mostly on the platform?
Yeah, we actually see the vast majority, I think almost entirely, uses the platform. So there's a great messaging feature through the app. And we know a lot of our users now are app users, or when they make the booking on the desktop, will download the app. So then you have that access as well. But again, that messaging is through the inbox. And Booking's the main reason behind that is too, Booking's done a lot of work making that super user friendly. There's a lot of even quick answers to frequently asked questions already available there. So even if we can kind of cover that before that goes to the property, that's something that we really try to do, again, just to manage that inbound and making sure we're already utilizing existing information from the properties provided. So yeah, definitely I'd say inbox messaging is huge. And that's also something I know I've been talking with the Hostfully team about. I think we'd love to get messaging more integrated. I think that's something down the line we're going to definitely work on, but for sure we know that guest communication is super important and we're trying to make it as seamless as possible.
Yeah, either way, like whenever somebody sends you a question, you get an email that if you answer, it will get sent to the inbox, right? Or I'm crazy?
Yeah, exactly. So the guests have, it's a bit like a coded, like the guest email that's provided with the reservation. If the property manager sends an email there, it will go through, sense that it will go through the messaging platform. So there's that log of all communication and easy access to go into. And something too, if the guest sends a message, I think this is a setting, but typically if the guest sends a message, that will go to email to the property, and then if they respond by email, it goes back to the guest. So really the messaging is synced to email, so that wherever the preference of working out of is met.
Great.
Cool.
There's also this question about Stripe, going back to Booking.com taking payments. So doesn't Stripe charge a fee for payment transfer? So I can answer this, especially on the software side. Normally with Booking.com, you decide to be merchant on record. You need a payment processor. In this case, it's Stripe. I believe Stripe, for the US, charges 2.9% a processing fee. So if you are merchant on record and a guest makes a reservation on Booking.com and that reservation is paid with a credit card, there is a 2.9 processing fee on Stripe side. I know Canada, the different markets in which you're based and located have different percentages, but the US, I believe it's now been updated to 2.9% per processing fee. But now the good news with Booking.com, if you decide not to be a merchant on record, you can fully do this option and this new feature that Booking.com has to offer. So having those two options is really awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. That sounds right as well. I will say, and I did mention this earlier, but I'm glad this question came in. Since this is a new payments that we just launched, there will actually be no fees for 2022. So for this first year while this is live, there's not going to be any fees through Stripe. I believe Booking's covering them.
That's really good. Yeah.
I don't know the logistics. I just know that as an introductory for this product, there's going to be no additional fees for the rest of this year. So yeah, again, maybe worth a try for at least a few months, and then you can always go back to being the merchant on record as the PM.
Wonderful.
Good news, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you so much. We do have one question just came through, and I know we have 2 minutes left, but real quick. So for Booking.com, are guests allowed to inquire about a listing before booking? This particular user has had several guests book and then ask questions and then realize the property does not fit their needs.
So there is a way. I mean, so for sure, everything on Booking.com is instant book. So the guests can make those reservations without asking questions, and it sounds like maybe some are doing a bit of a workaround and inquiring after their booking, which is interesting. But there is a way from the front end of the landing pages where you can ask questions to the property. So guests can technically ask questions before they book. If they're finding that and if they're seeing that, there is a way to have a dialogue with the guests before they book.
Awesome. Really good to know.
Hopefully they're clear enough to the guests. Maybe that's something that we should work on, but it's interesting to hear that's happening.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, we really cut it close. 1:59. Again, so there's been so many great takeaways, Kathryn. Thank you so much. And again, for those of you who are listening, who are just overwhelmed with the wealth of information that you've just received, please don't worry. We're going to be sending out an email after this webinar with a link of the recording. So you'll receive a follow-up from us. Again, any questions, please don't hesitate to email us or contact us directly. We're always happy to help. So again, thank you so much for your time. To our hosts, Kat, Fede, thank you so much. And then thank you for all the attendees and the great questions that you sent.